As the Muggles say, truth will out.
Hey guys, it's Jess. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm happy to have you here. I was going to post a video yesterday just sorting out the timeline on Eliza Bleu. Everyone's talking about Eliza Bleu. And I honestly hope this is the last video that I make on her. But there was just so much information out there, so many articles, especially with the Daily Beast article dropping last week. It made me just go down the rabbit hole, and I've spent hours consuming information about this woman, and honestly, I hate it. I don't want to do it anymore. But Chrissy Mayer, Fair and Balanced, they were going to put together a docu-series or multi-part documentary on human trafficking and the Eliza Bleu story. But that has been delayed. Apart from Twitter bans, Brittany Venti's still not back. The Flash was back temporarily, and he posted a picture of her, and he was immediately removed within 24 hours, I believe. Camelot's back. Quartering's back. And there's been some drama happening. I know drama content and all of that is cringy, but just to give you kind of the lay of the land if you're not paying attention to that. I do follow Tim Pool. I stopped watching him a while back. I think it was 2016 time when I started following Tim. And I found other creators that I like more in the way that they present content. So I do follow him on Twitter. And Jeremy, over the censorship issue happening on Twitter, was calling Tim out. Tim didn't like it. He blocked him. So there's just like little war going on. Jeremy insists it's not. Tim, in his responses last night, you can tell he's reacting poorly to what's happening. It's disappointing for his fans, and he just doesn't care. So that's good to know. So I'm going to start out with where we are in the timeline now, and then kind of just work our way back. I'm not going to go over every little detail. I do have a link in the description to my spreadsheet where I was just like, I'm such a dweeb. I was reading all these articles. I'm like, I need a spreadsheet. I got to put this in something I can look at. And there's links to all the articles, all the photos, interviews, everything referenced is linked. So feel free to check that out if you're interested. If not, I do have a timeline here. Here's my spreadsheet. Links to articles that were helpful to me, showing the history, written timeline, going back through to like her family and the parents and how she came to be where she is now. The Daily Beast article is linked in orange, and also those that are pertaining to the Daily Beast are colored in orange. She did have history with My Chemical Romance, and she has been under scrutiny since about that time. She was always posting things online. The band members didn't appreciate it. She wasn't liked by the band. There's links to posts covering that. If you're a fan of MCR, I was at the time. They kind of dropped off my radar after 2007, but there were some hardcore fans calling her out in her shenanigans and her manipulative ways back then. A lot of people, actually, come to find out, have been calling her out over the years, and even since she came out as this advocate in 2020, there have been skeptics trying to like expose her, like show the truth. She's a liar. Now, if she's actually helping people, good on her. That's awesome. But when you lie so much, your credibility gets shot. So this is my spreadsheet. I took screen grabs of the Daily Beast article and put them in there. So everything is reference tied to my source material. But my timeline here, and the original intent of this video was to talk about who's Eliza Bleu? How do we get here? Just to help my brain feel a little better and putting it all in one spot. The spreadsheet helped a lot. And then having just the visual aid helped me feel better. So hopefully it helps you too. So we're going to start though around here, because around 2020 is when she started climbing the ladder. She seemed to be going podcast to podcast, making friends with those that she thought were prominent figures in the space that could help her grow into more of a public figure. And so she had interviews on podcasts with Hotep Jesus. She had interviews with Dr. Drew, Michael Malice. She was at speaking engagements. She spoke at a rally for Julian Assange. She says she'll die on the hill of free speech. And that's where we come to our problem with all of the censorship issues with Twitter. And subsequent to that, YouTube, she's filing strikes or filing claims against certain creators that are posting material that makes her not look so great, makes her look like a hypocrite. And so she's filing privacy complaints. So she hit At Least Fair and Balanced, Chrissy Mayer. There's others, but it's either her and or her team. So she continued to make her way at Ben Shapiro, and she was such a loud presence on Twitter about child exploitation material on Twitter that she was in Twitter Spaces, one with Elon even. So it seemed like by the end of 2022, she had Elon's ear and had some sway or connection with Twitter safety. And that's when the banning started. When Brittany posted that photo, publicly available photo, the banning started there. Brittany was gone. TheQuartering defended her. He was gone for a bit. Camelot, Yellow Flash, a slew of other people. So the story changed from she's a liar, she's not been trafficked, these are the receipts, to censorship. I think both aspects are important, because if you are a liar and you're a manipulator and you're not authentic and you're portraying yourself as a victim, that's hurting real victims. It is important to cover. Some people think that's not important, that she's a liar. It's fine. But everyone, I think, can get around the censorship of free speech. The other part that came out recently, because once you start shutting people down, more people are going to look. So that's where she has found herself in some hot water and under major scrutiny in the last few weeks. One of them being this interview on the Liberty Lockdown podcast, where she talks about the ability for children to consent. I think she's tried to run damage control on that, but I don't think there's any way you can twist it into something else than what she said it was. And it's just really gross. So we're going to just check that out here on the Christy podcast.
Utopia. So let's pretend like we all have our like utopia. So if I could answer this in utopia, right? In my like perfect NCAP utopia, each community and each so it'd be each caregiver, parent, and community, including teachers, potential faith leaders, and neighbors, will decide if the child is ready to consent and look at the child's behavior. Do they have a job? How is their education going? Are they cognitively available to have sex with this individual? And then also look at the history of the individual as well. So does this individual have a history of abuse? Yep. And you go from there.
Certainly.
Wait, whoa.
Exactly. Wait, no. This guy is bobbing his head like crazy. He is so into this idea. I've heard bad things about him, but I don't know who he is, so I'm not going to comment too much on that. This gentleman, the host, was on Christy Mayer's podcast recently, and he did clarify his position on it. So I don't really have any negative feelings toward this one, but this guy seems like a total creep. So anyway, back to our timeline and what's happening now. So people are digging. People are finding things out that are unflattering of her and her this crafted image that she's made of herself, and it's all coming to light. But now you have people like Timcast who platformed her, and this is where the followers have an issue, subscribers have an issue. It's like they want to hear his take on it, and he's not said anything. And then not long after the Daily Beast expose, within a couple of days, Eliza said that she's working with Cashman, who's a journalist for Timcast, and he's going to have the exclusive, and it's all going to be made clear. And so everyone was waiting for it to drop. It dropped. It fell flat. It has been called a fluff piece. She does the same thing that she does in every other story. It's just generalities. There's nothing specific or concrete. You still don't believe her. So I'm not sure why she was pushing for this and like posting about it, promoting it, when it doesn't look good. But anyway, not passing hard judgment or criticism on it yet, because it is part one of a multi-part series. So maybe there's more to talk about in part 2 and beyond. But this is my my timeline of her history. So my original video was going to be just the timeline of her story and inconsistencies and the what the heck of Eliza Bleu. And then it turned into Tim Pool and the censorship. Obviously, the censorship was always going to be the highlight. But these rabbit holes I went down into were just like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So there's discrepancies with her age. She says she was trafficked at she met a photographer at a Warped Tour when she was 15. There wasn't a Warped Tour location in or around Chicago until the next year. The friend that was interviewed for the Daily Beast article says she was at the Warped Tour concert when she met a photographer and said that Eliza was in her early 20s. She wasn't an underage person. She also said she was sold to an older man in Hollywood. But public records show that as of 2000, she did have residences listed in the Hawthorne area in LA and also Big Bear City in California, which is where her husband, Ben T. Sipe, lived and was from. So my idea is that she was living with her boyfriend, who very well could have been this photographer person, because he did have an entertainment LLC registered in Texas with his Big Bear City address. That LLC dissolved in 2015, but that's a side note. But in that time, she appeared on the Blind Date TV show, which it doesn't imply to me that she's single. It just makes me think that she's wanting to get into Hollywood, into acting, put her face out there, get noticed, get discovered, that kind of a thing. So in 2003, according to what she claims as fan fiction that somebody hacked into her live journal, she was 22 years old in Germany on the army base when her husband was at war. She claimed that it was an abusive relationship, discovered My Chemical Romance. They had separated in 2004. She got her cosmetology license in Illinois in 2005. She said her goal from the jump was to cut hair for bands and go on tour. And she was totally obsessed with My Chemical Romance. And in the supposed fan fiction that she's never read, right, it details how they met and how their conversations, and that she forced conversation with him and really worked him basically to ultimately become his girlfriend. And then they got engaged. This video, a link to it's in the spreadsheet. It's under the YouTube channel, Eliza Cuts Way. So when she got her cosmetology license, she was called Eliza Cuts Online. That was her handle. And then she created a YouTube channel, Eliza Cuts Way, Gerard Way, confirming that he was engaged. She didn't say her name, but that he was engaged. So that's the only video on that channel. However, they broke up a couple weeks later. He was in Europe touring, and she didn't go with. And I think he finally listened to reason. His friends and his bandmates, talked some sense into him, and they broke up. I didn't really find anything in 2008 about her. 2009, 2010 time she auditioned for American Idol. There's a New York Post article linked about her American Idol time. She also wrote an article in the Gothic Beauty magazine, issue 30. You can see that whole magazine. That issue is in my spreadsheet, linked to it. This is her here, and she wrote a how-to for, it was basically a magazine makeup tutorial on capturing the looks of Tim Burton characters. 2012, it looked like she was still trying to get into the entertainment space. So she was appearing in music videos. She had 2 active Model Mayhem accounts. She was going under Eliza Sipe, and then she changed it to Eliza Knows. In an interview, she referred to 2014 being the time frame that she escaped her traffickers for good. Just thought I'd put that sandwiched in between all this, because if you go, and I have archived those Model Mayhem accounts so you can look at those if they ultimately get taken down, because things are disappearing on the internet, off the internet, when they are related to Eliza Bleu. So the 2016 is when the world star Eliza Knows hip hop music video. It's not really a rap video, and there's music to it, but she's just running around climbing on things in skimpy clothes. And this is the video. People have reposted it to YouTube. I found it a couple of times if you want to look for it to see what the scandal is all about. It really wasn't a big deal. Like, nobody had a problem that she had a past. If she would have just said, yeah, I did some stuff, women, girl power, like, she could have spun it so easily, and nobody would have looked into who she was or questioned her story. And the next thing I found is an interview. I don't know if it's Tumblr, but somebody interviewed her. It's a written out interview. And she references a rumor that she heard about herself about having accused a basketball player of the R word, which I thought was interesting to note. That stuck out to me because there are other articles about her being trafficked. And in one of them, she says her trafficker was a high-profile athlete. And that's the only athlete that I've ever heard her mention by name. So check that one out. It's the pink boxes on my spreadsheet. But this is where she started popping up, 2020. Tim Pool made a comment about everyone being in on it. It's a conspiracy. Brittany Venti's in on it. This is just a PR thing. And we're all doing what she wants. She wants to be famous, and everyone is making her famous. And I wouldn't call it famous. It's more infamous, right? That's negative. That's a bad thing, Tim. But his reaction is just so cringy, and now the whole story has shifted the spotlight onto Tim. I just wanted to share these clips that D-Day Cobra had posted, and get your thoughts on it. Where are we now? What's next? Where do we go from here?
It's possible, and I'll just keep it vague. It is a PR stunt targeting people who talk about free speech with censorship to trick them into promoting an individual trying to be famous. And they all walked right into it. It is.
What? We have it. The evidence is there. This started because Brittany Venti posted a publicly available screenshot of a music video asking Eliza Bleu politely, hey, this doesn't seem kind of consistent with you. What's going on here? Eliza didn't have DMs open, so Brittany couldn't send her a DM. Then, suddenly, Brittany gets locked out of her Twitter account. Brittany had nearly 100,000 followers. Then TheQuartering says, I'm friends with Brittany. That's bullshit. Much like he didn't address the Jack Murphy thing, they thought it was interesting. Tim just platformed this person, and this person was spewing all this nonsense. Now we have a major censorship story that's happening, and Tim doesn't even want to talk about it. Then you said you had a reporter that you were going to cover it. And then you said TheQuartering was scheduled to be on your show, and you were going to talk about it with TheQuartering, but TheQuartering flaked out. But that was very disingenuous from you, because that is not why TheQuartering was supposed to come on, even though it would have worked out perfectly with the timing. That's not why you scheduled him. So in no way did you have to cancel the topic because the guest that was supposed to be on didn't make it. You didn't bring him on to cover that story. That story was breaking, and you are a site and a YouTube channel that covers relevant current news on the daily basis.
Congratulations, guys. You work for a PR firm. You've made her more famous than she's ever been.
Yeah.
More famous than she's ever been. There you go. But the reality is most of the people spamming us, they're not real people. Like, a lot of people are. A lot of people are not. So you get one guy makes 10 accounts, you get 5 guys, you get 50 accounts, they post comments, they accuse you, they create a perception, then they start sending those comments to journalists saying, please write about this.
Yeah, I think a lot of people maybe got kind of drawn up in the drama and the emotions of it, but really, like, if Brittany Venti got banned for not violating terms of service, that's the story. If she violated terms of service, then it was a righteous ban.
I think
this is, my friends, an outrage.
He actually gets it, but then it goes over his head. If she was banned unjustly, that's the story. That is the freaking story. You dum-dums. Like, seriously, you're saying it. Go with that. That is the story. But there's so much deflection happening with Tim and this cope that's happening. And it's really disingenuous. It's a really bad look. And it gets even uglier the way that he talks about his subscribers and his fans that want to hear his take. They are disappointed with the way he's handled it. They're disappointed with the article. And he's just being a jerk.
the real story is that she likely got banned as part of a campaign where someone trying to become famous hires a company who then spams someone's comments with fake accounts to get them to talk about it, then immediately uses accounts to do mass flagging, which result in an algorithmic censorship, meaning no one at Twitter actually looked and saw it. When Twitter receives a...
That's such BS. I can't honestly believe that he believes the words that are coming out of his mouth.
When Jeremy Hambley goes on his show and says something like, Tim won't address the Jack Murphy stuff, and it's like, interesting.
Jeremy was saying things Tim didn't like. He was saying things at Tim that Tim didn't like, and he blocked Jeremy. So then there's like this whole division of, you know, mom and dad are splitting up. Who gets the kids? So you have people who are supporting Jeremy and people who are supporting Tim. I feel like Tim's in the wrong in this one, so I'm 100% Team Jeremy. Buy his coffee.
I wonder if anybody who is paying attention to a Chinese balloon carrying potential explosives of the United States is concerned about what some videos some guy produced. So if like you're interested in interpersonal drama and e-girl celebrity stuff, Timcast is not the channel for you. And if that's the case, and then I don't want your money. Like, dude, it's remarkable that people are like, Tim, if you don't address e-girl drama, I'm going to cancel. I'm like, okay, all right, we'll cancel, I guess. I don't know.
D-Day's getting so worked up because he literally just covered e-girl drama like within the past week and a half.
Just said that if you're interested in e-girl drama, then Timcast is not the place for you. This is on Timcast right here. This is on his channel. Twitch streamer cries after getting caught watching deep fake adult videos while streaming. This is the literal definition of e-girl drama.
So yeah, what do you think about everything going on? I really hope to not have to cover another Eliza Bleu. I'm so over the entire story about her, but I do want to see her held accountable. So I will be keeping an eye on the stories as they progress. Fair and Balanced, Chrissy Mayer, all of Simpcast, most everybody is covering it. So I'll just keep an eye on it. And if anything comes up or changes or is interesting, I will do my best to cover it. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button on your way out, and I'll see you next time.
Adios.